In June 2015, Tom Holland signed a 6-picture deal to play Spider-Man. Growing up, Tom Holland was a huge fan of Spider-Man. He owned the costumes and he had the bedsheet covers. He had well and truly been bitten by the radioactive bug, like millions of others had before him. He auditioned against, 1,500 teenagers worldwide? Technically, but millions of kids, actually. Kids in their bedrooms who would all want to play that role. The dream role. A life-changing role. A role that indeed changed his life. The role that gave him wealth, love, a huge amount of pride, and ironically, probably a great sense of responsibility. 6 pictures and one being the biggest Spider-Man event ever. Later, he's arguably ready to hang up the CGI tights and try on some new shoes. But naturally, with his popularity and the final film's massive success, Sony have new deals on the table, but they'd likely want to see Tom bouncing around the walls well into his 40s. At least one more solo film with Tom Holland seems likely and arguably even inevitable. And I think it's something that both studio and audiences want. The problem is, they both want very different movies. No Way Home leaves our character in an open-ended but satisfying place. He has had his whole retconned 3-film origin story, and he's ready to be the Peter Parker that many fans wanted from the beginning. A poor, techless, ground-level loser who is fighting villains of his own that are motivated by him and not his mentor. No. Sony hears that and raises you. A huge event, we try to top No Way Home, with Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire coming back. And probably more from somewhere, I don't know, we'll find them. And I'll have a huge multiversal fight, and there'll probably be some DC characters too, because why not? Basically, they'd like to put another 0 next to that box office number. And much like a cringy line you may potentially see in this new Spider-Man 4 film, Tom Holland is the only one who can stop them. Judging from interviews and things he's just straight up said, Tom Holland is very protective of the character. He's a 27-year-old guy who most definitely keeps tabs on the faults of what fans want. I'd be very surprised if he didn't know that people want a very street-level contained character story. Admittedly, he doesn't use social media much anymore. When it comes to feedback on his projects, I mean, he checks in.
The crowded room reviews.
So when you see him do these interviews and he's saying things like he's in talks but it has to feel right, it has to do justice
to him and make the films mean more and do better, then I'll be there. I'd be a fool to say I wouldn't. I'm in love with Peter Parker. He changed my life. It is the greatest gift. So if we can find a way to make one that will surpass the third one and be different and be interesting and be new, I'll be there. And if not, I'll swing off into the sunset and it'll be the next Lucky Kid's job.
The fact that his personal ranking of the Spider-Man films
would
was
be 1, 3, 2.
This all paints a picture of someone who wants to make a smaller, interesting inwards, and at the end of the day, passing on the torch story in some kind of way, but he kind of bows out as this character once and for all. And there have been multiple reports that Kevin Feige wants the same thing. As much as I've criticized him and called him a Thanos-like presence, but how he went overboard with the whole Marvel conveyor belt, creating a work schedule that was impossible to stick to whilst keeping the same quality. Kevin Feige has also shown that he is someone who sees and reads the feedback at least, and has an idea of what people want. He has stripped back since then and is trying to at least steer the ship in a different direction. The right direction, in my opinion. After a mix of lukewarm to just straight up awful reception for stuff like Multiverse of Madness, Thor Love and Thunder, Quantumania, Secret Invasion, once again, it would be insane to me if he didn't realize that if he does release a huge Marvel style event for a 4th Spider-Man movie, it would, yes, A, make money, but B, never reach that same pure joy of the third, and C, had the majority of people saying once again, this isn't what we asked for. Maybe hire one of these top directors that you've been hiring, but this time let them actually direct the thing and, you know, put their influence on it. I don't know. Maybe have a suit that is actually worn and not covered up in CGI. Maybe try to have a good iconic score, or try grade the film in a way that feels unique and not just a low contrast, washed out piece of nothing. Maybe make something smaller. Maybe make something darker. These studios seem so obsessed with sticking to this big money making formula to a point where it's now to their detriment. They stick to it so hard that they are now actively nosediving and you are scared to try something new. I'd understand being resistant to change in the middle of phase 3. At this point, why not try and make a turn? It kind of seems like the only man who can do that is Spider-Man himself. I think if Tom is tapped into what people want and is determined to only return if it's something at least close to that, I think ultimately they'll have to follow. What's the alternative? Morbius, Craven the Hunter, and Madam Web. Like, their hand isn't exactly pretty. Whereas Tom has a royal flush. They have the winning lottery ticket sitting right under their noses. All they have to do is scratch. I think there will be another Spider-Man movie regardless, but if people want it to be the right one and they want it to be the right Peter Parker and the right story, then I think it's dependent on if Tom Holland can save Peter Parker or not.